It's funny how movies have a way of making us fearful of normal everyday things. Psycho made us scared to take showers in motels. Final Destination 2 made us reconsider driving behind trucks transporting heavy loads. And my personal favourite, the TV movie adaptation of Stephen King's It, will forever be responsible for my fear of clowns and sewers. Any film can make us scared of anything if done right, and in 1975 Steven Spielberg managed to make an entire generation terrified of sharks and the oceans in what is without a doubt one of cinema's most iconic movies, Jaws. Death has come to visit the small seaside town of Amity in the form of a great white shark that has claimed its waters as its new feeding ground. After the remains of the shark's first victim wash up on the beach, the island's police chief Martin Brody immediately gets to work on closing down the beaches. The town's mayor, however, has other ideas. With the 4th of July only days away and with the island's reliance on its tourism trade to prosper, the mayor and the pathologist try and convince Brody that it could have been a boat propeller accident that killed the girl. With Brody being new to the island and still acclimatising to its customs, he goes against his better judgment and holds off on closing the beaches, but his failure to act results in another attack that claims the life of a young boy. Chaos descends on the town of Amity. The boy's mother places a private bounty of $3,000 on the shark, which attracts the local fishermen. One in particular, an old-school gruff-looking bastard called Quint, played by Robert Shaw, sets his own price of $10,000 and leaves it with the townspeople. The beaches are closed for 24 hours and the local inept fishermen set out to hunt the shark down. An oceanologist called Matt Hooper comes to Amity at the request of Brody to help them with their shark problem. After taking a look at the remains of the first victim, he concludes that it was definitely a shark attack. Meanwhile, the fishermen claim to have caught the shark and bring it to land. Everyone, especially the mayor, seems to be happy, but Hooper tells Brody that it's a very slim chance that the shark they've caught is responsible for the killings. After some further investigation, Hooper and Brody try in vain to convince the mayor they didn't kill the right shark and that it's still out there. The mayor still refuses to close the beaches, much to the anger and dismay of Brody and Hooper. The tourists arrive, and despite Brody and his team's best efforts, the shark claims another life. Finally, the mayor sees sense and agrees to pay Quint the $10,000 to hunt and kill the shark. Aided by Brody and Hooper, the trio set sail on their mission to find their quarry and soon discover that hunting this shark is no easy task. I'll just get this out of the way right now. Jaws is a fantastic film and its legendary status is undeniable. It became a huge summer blockbuster on release and it catapulted Steven Spielberg's career into the stratosphere, but this could have gone entirely the other way. The movie was, by all accounts, an absolute nightmare to film. In between sinking ships and on-set tensions between two of the main cast members, Spielberg also had to contend with the bloody shark itself. They had 3 animatronic sharks built for the movie at a cost of $150,000 each, and they simply didn't work. Once they were put into the seawater, they began malfunctioning and breaking down, which caused massive delays and production issues. Imagine being charged with creating a Hollywood movie and the most important and expensive mechanical props you have turn out to be as useful as a chocolate teapot. With the stress piling on Spielberg day by day, he was left with only one viable option: to only use the shark when absolutely necessary. And it worked. The shark's lack of on-screen presence forces us to fill in the gaps, and as we all know, what our minds conjure up can be far scarier than what is presented to us on screen. It's thanks to this major issue they had during production that Jaws burned itself deep into our subconscious and helped it become the blockbuster that it is. One of the other major issues they had on set was the tension between actors Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss. Apparently the two of them couldn't stand each other. For whatever reason, Shaw just had a particular annoyance with Dreyfuss and he would be constantly insulting him and making him question his abilities. Watching their characters on screen, you have to wonder just how much of their bickering was acting, if any at all. It was no secret that Shaw had a problem with alcohol, and this problem would be a constant issue on set. Roy Scheider even described him as being a perfect gentleman when he was sober, but a competitive son of a bitch after a drink. When the time came for him to deliver his monologue during the USS Indianapolis scene, he was absolutely wasted and none of what they recorded was usable. Shaw rang Spielberg to apologise and asked for another crack at it. On his second go, Shaw delivered his monologue in one take and he knocked it right out of the park. But enough about production issues, let's take a look at the movie as a whole. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss as Brody, Quint and Hooper respectively all give a spectacular performance that draws us in from the moment they appear. Chief Brody is a world-weary man who loves his family and his job, and he just wants to do the right thing. He's haunted by the young boy's death, and this drives him forward to overcome his fear of the water and to take the shark down. Robert Shaw as Quint is this big, imposing and intimidating fisherman who fills the screen with his no-nonsense attitude and persona. He doesn't suffer fools gladly, and he doesn't take kindly to working with others, but there's no denying his skill and his determination. Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Hooper brings a certain level of eccentricity and humour to the movie. He comes from a wealthy family, and this creates some tension between him and Quint with the whole working class versus spoon-fed lifestyles they have lived. Hooper's personality helps to balance out the trio's characters, and the three of them are easy to watch. The movie does an incredible job at ramping up the tension and keeping these men on their back foot. They're under no illusion that their task will be a dangerous and arduous one, but even they are taken aback by the difficulty that they face. Every move they make against the shark is countered, which in turn creates more and more problems for the team, and in turn each problem becomes more and more severe. The battle of man versus beast is excellently depicted, and it keeps us guessing which one becomes victorious right up until the end. Spielberg shot some amazing and iconic scenes in Jaws. Its opening did a perfect job in gripping its audience and locking us in right until the end. What's more impressive is we don't actually see the shark at all during that scene, further underscoring the fact that less is more with stuff like this. The dolly zoom used when Brody spots the boy being eaten by the shark is timeless, and the chumming scene will forever be remembered not just for its amazing framing and use of the shark, but also for Roy Scheider's legendary ad-lib line.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
There's also an amazing jump scare that happens midway through the movie. I love that Spielberg added that in as an afterthought because he felt that he could get one more scare from his audience, and I can testify that it bloody worked. It goes without saying that John Williams' score is a work of genius. Its main theme has become synonymous with fear and dread, and its beauty lies in its simplicity. I like the story that Spielberg told when he first heard the theme being played to him, and he thought Williams was actually joking. But let's face it, that piece of music is a large part of what makes Jaws as awesome as it is. It's accompanied by so many other great tracks too, and for me, there isn't a bad one on the whole soundtrack. The island of Martha's Vineyard is the setting for the fictional town of Amity, and I absolutely adore how it looks. Its beaches, its fishing harbours and its architecture all look aesthetically pleasing. Part of me has always wanted to live somewhere like that, and I think it's one of the many reasons why Jaws still remains a firm favourite of mine. The film is a masterclass in building tension and releasing that pressure valve at just the right time. All of its characters are engaging and relatable, and it never really outstays its welcome. It never ceases to entertain me when I watch it, and if you haven't seen it yet, then I highly recommend it.